going. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Welcome, dear devotees. Reading from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, doing 2 translations at a time, starting with our dear Vindhyavali Mataji. Is it you?
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 14. The 3 modes of material nature. Text 1. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Text 2. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like by my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Hare Krishna. Somal Mataji.
Takes
Pam.
3. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the births of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Text 4. It should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed-giving father. Hare Krishna. Shukumala Radhe Mataji.
Thank you. Text 5. Material nature consists of 3 modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Text 6. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Simmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Text 7. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitative actions. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Archana Mataji.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Text 9. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance, covering one's knowledge, binds one to madness. Text 10. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the modes of passion and ignorance. O son of Bharata, sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. Hare Krishna. Varshana Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are eliminated by knowledge. Text 12. O chief of Bharata, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develops. Hare Krishna. Simmi Mataji.
So, Sonia Mataji, text 30. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, or son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. Text 14. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to pure higher planets of great sages. Priyanka Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Text 15. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Text 16. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Haribol, Vindhyavali Mataji.
Mataji, somebody else joined, Mataji. Suleka or somebody joined.
Yes, Mataji, if it's possible, I can read.
Yeah, you can read. Go ahead.
So this is text 16, I think, right?
Yes.
Text 16. The result of pious action is pure and is said to be the mode of goodness, but action done in the mode of passion results in misery, and action performed in the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. Text 17. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. And from the mode of ignorance develop foolishness, madness, and illusion. Hare Krishna.
Kathy Mataji not reading?
No, Mataji, you go ahead.
Yeah. Text 18. Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go down to the hellish worlds. Text 19. When one properly sees that in all activities no other performer is at work than these modes of nature, and he knows the Supreme Lord, who is transcendental to all these modes, he attains my spiritual nature. Who else?
Text 20. When the embodied being is able to transcend these three modes associated with the material body, he can become free from birth, death, old age, and their distresses, and can enjoy nectar even in this life. Text 21. Arjuna inquired, O my dear Lord, by which symptoms in one who is known, who is transcendental to these three modes? What is his behavior, and how does he transcend the modes of nature? Shukumala Radha Mataji.
Text 22 to 25. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pandu, he who does not hate illumination, attachment, and delusion when they are present, or long for them when they disappear, who is unwavering and undisturbed through all these reactions of the material qualities, remaining neutral and transcendental, knowing that the modes alone are active, who is situated in the self and regards alike happiness and distress, who looks upon a lump of earth, a stone, and a piece of gold with an equal eye, who is equal toward the desirable and the undesirable, who is steady, situated equally well in praise and blame, honor and dishonor, who treats alike both friend and enemy, and who has renounced all material activities, such a person is said to have transcended the modes of nature. Simi Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna. Text 26. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus come to level of Brahman. And I am the basis of impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Hare Krishna.
What should we do? Chapter is over.
Reflections.
Want to do reflections? All right, let's do reflections.
Mataji, I really like the last shloka where Krishna says that he is the source of the impersonal Brahman. And I was just thinking that how I wonder how people are able to imagine it other way. like in the opposite way, where they think that source is. I just can't imagine that, and I'm thankful to
I
Krishna
want
for
you to
that.
have that disability. It's good to have that disability of
Yeah.
not being able to imagine the other way around. Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking that, here in this chapter, we're talking about transcending and modes of material nature and that we should transcend. But then we have to transcend the Brahma Jyoti also, right? And go beyond that. So there's so many things we have to transcend. We have to transcend the mystic powers that we get, right? Transcend the Brahma Jyoti. Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
But Mataji, I I really find myself very limited in the way that I'm not able to imagine or understand that how exactly the spiritual world would be, even in spite of hearing all the katha. And I, every day when I'm standing in front of Krishna and chanting, I ask him that I'm not getting that attraction because I probably don't understand it, the sweetness, or the, the for which I should feel like really I should be longing to go there. Why do I get happy with, little comfort here in this world? And why do I not know the real comfort, which is much better than here, because it's just not in my imagination. You know how if I haven't tasted something better, then I'm just happy with what I have. So I feel very limited in that way.
Very nice. You are on to the next verse in Bhagavad Gita. You are going to do 258 today. You're going to do 259. Yeah, yeah. So couple of things. It's a good hankering that you have. It's a good thought process that you're going. That why I don't have that hankering, right? So, Vaisheshika Prabhu says that even this hankering, that I why don't I have devotional service? Why don't I have love for Krishna? Is equivalent to having love for Krishna. Because if there is no love for Krishna, why would you hanker for it? Right? So yeah, hankering means you like something. So
It's realization. It's a realization, right? That your hankering itself is a realization.
exactly, exactly. Yeah. And so athak Shri Krishna namadi na bhavet grahyam indriye sevan mukho hi jivyado swam ev suratyada. So it says that atha Shri Krishna nam adi. So Krishna's name, etc. Nam adi means name and etc. Name and etc. means what? Krishna's names, Krishna's pastimes, where Krishna lives, Krishna's friends, all that, a paraphernalia. Atha Shri Krishna namadi na bhavet grahyam indriye. So you cannot know all of them with your material senses, which includes the mind. So that's why with your mind, with all the efforts that you do, you won't be able to imagine how Golok Vrindavan looks like. Sevan mukho hi jivhadao. But if you start service adao in the beginning, if you start serving the names of the Lord through your jivha, through your tongue, that's right? Sevan mukho hi jivhadao, swayam eva suratyada. Swayam ev means automatically. Suratya means manifest. So the names and the pastimes and Golok Vrindavan, they will automatically be manifest in your heart. You don't have to do anything. You just have to continue doing your devotional service like that. And no matter how hard you try through mechanical processes, you won't be able to see Golok Vrindavan because Golok Vrindavan is visible to the pure devotees of the Lord. And that's why we are constantly hankering for that, let me do pure devotional service. Let me do pure devotional service. And this hankering and this love for Krishna, if you're not having love for Krishna, one of the reasons is that we don't chant properly, including me. So don't feel guilty. Your teacher is also in the same boat. Yeah, so when we do Nama Prada, then we don't get. So that's why when you chant the 10 offenses, when you recite the 10 offenses to the holy name of the Lord, what do we say in the end? We say that ultimate goal, Krishna Prema, right? Just to get the ultimate goal, this is Krishna Prema, you have to make sure that we don't commit these offenses at all. And we are doing sadhana bhakti, we are practicing it. And with practice makes a man perfect. So we will reach perfection. It's a guarantee. It's a guarantee on the holy name. Where else is the guarantee these days, right? There's no guarantee, right? So yeah. Any more reflections?
Thank you, Mataji.
Mhm.
Mataji, is it like the experiencing the spiritual world is also like going the different levels, right? First spiritual level is just the name here, then just devotee association. I mean, different people have different level of transcendence. Like I have prasadam, I think, oh wow, it's transcendental. I mean, but again, as you go higher, you'll have the higher realization.
Yes, yes. And it'll happen. I mean, and the funny thing, and I'm glad that you bring this concept of consciousness here, because once your consciousness reaches to a higher level, then the material around you doesn't affect you. I mean, people look at all of us. Why are we so happy? What are we doing? Despite all the no's that are there in the life, no alcohol, ooh, no gambling, ooh, right? No meat eating. My goodness, 99% of the menu is gone. No onion, no garlic, no illicit sex. I mean, it's like complete. No, 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 don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And still we are so happy. It's amazing. It's the power of devotional service. It does that to you.
Because that simplifies life
Yes,
so
mother.
much, right? That we don't have to think about other things.
Oh boy, the
Yeah.
day that I gave up eating onions, I was the happiest cook in the kitchen.
Yeah. That
Food gets cooked so
minimizes so
fast.
much of hankering to bring certain things and to think about where we can eat. Like no options.
Yes, the less the options, the less confused you will be. Yeah, yeah.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you,
I heard Guru Maharaj's lecture yesterday, and he said that look at this, the devotees are always very happy. So I really picked up this sentence that yes, it is so true that devotees are really happy. Yesterday, I just said, what should I cook for tomorrow? I was just asking my husband. So I asked him, and may I cook pav bhaji tomorrow? So he said, yeah. And the maid said, if the onions are there, it will be good. And he said, no, 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 no onions in the house.
Yeah, the temptation is always there. Yeah, just lurching around the corner and will come from the sweetest person in your life. Yeah.
Mataji, today I made rajma and I had no onions. So it was pretty hard without tomatoes. Just with tomatoes, and I added extra asafoetida for that taste. But yeah, it was interesting.
Well, you can use cabbage. It looks like onion after it's fried.
Oh,
There's purple cabbage also.
oh,
Then there is
Actually, bok
Yeah,
interesting.
Mataji, you will
bok choy.
learn to cook without onions. There are so many ways, and it turns out really good,
better.
actually.
It's better actually. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, that's a good trick. Purple cabbage. Interesting. Yeah.
There's fennel. Yeah. You make fennel pakoras, they look like onion
Yeah,
pakoras.
fennel and bok choy. They are onion substitutes.
Substitute.
Bok choy. Yeah.
What
Oh,
did you
that's
say,
great.
Mataji? Onion and?
Bok choy. Bokchoy. It has a fennel like a bulb, and then it has the green leaves. That's bok choy.
Yeah. It's very soft. Bok choy is very soft. You get it in Chinese stores. Yeah,
Even regular.
In
No?
India, I don't
yeah,
think
even
in
Indian
India
stores.
we'll get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, so there are so many options. Like Mataji, you'll end up learning so many things. Radharani cooks, has been cooking for Krishna, and she cooks like 1,000 dishes, and she has never repeated a dish. And they're all without
Oh,
onion
wow.
and garlic. So there's a lot of variety. Yeah. And what do meat eaters eat? Do they eat meat and chapati or rice and meat? That's all.
Yeah. True, true.
Good. So should we go to Bhagavad Gita then? If there are more reflections, we can take them certainly. But if not, then
Yeah.
okay. So whose turn is it to read?
It's my turn, Mataji.
Oh, wow. Are you
Archana Mataji.
okay? And everybody there who is capable of reading can do the reading, right? And am I sharing with you?
No, Mataji, I cannot see the verse.
All right.
It's showing the 14th chapter only.
Ooh. Okay, let's go to verse number 58. And now let's see how many can pronounce this word properly. Okay, Archana Mataji.
Naviga.
Kurmonganiva sarvasha.
Sarvashaha. Kurmonganiva. 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 And what is this? This guy?
Indriyanindriyatebhya.
No, Indriyani.
Indriyanindriyanebhya.
Yes.
Say that again, Sukomal Radhe Mataji.
Indriyani Indriyar Arthebhyas.
Yeah, Indriyani, Indriyarthebhyas. Thebhyas.
Indriyarthebhyas.
Indriyarthebhyas. Ha.
Indriyarthebhyas.
Thebhyas, you see? Thebhyas. Till here. And then tasya prajna pratishtitaha. Pratishtita.
In Hindi, they added all that. Indriyabhyastasya prajna. Tasya. This came in the another line in English, but it came in the same word.
Okay. So it is Archana's turn to read?
Yeah, it's my turn, Mataji.
Go ahead. Now we have prompted you enough.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Yada samharate chayam kurmunganiva sarvashaha indriyani indriyarthebhyas tasya pragya pratishtita.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Varshana Mataji, your turn.
Yes, Mataji, thank you so much. One who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects as the tortoise draws its limbs within the shell is firmly fixed in perfect consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So did we do the synonyms?
Sonia Mataji.
No,
Okay,
we
Mataji.
didn't.
No, Mataji, we did not the synonyms.
So please, Sonia Mataji, please do the synonyms.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Yada, when,
I forgot.
samharate, winds up, cha, also, ayam, he, kurma, tortoise, angani, limbs, iva, like, sarvashaha, altogether, indriyani, senses, indriya, arthabhyat, yaha, from the sense objects, tasya, his, paranjana, consciousness, pratisthitaha, the fixed. Yeah, Mataji, how do we say the last word?
Pratishtita.
Pratish.
Oh, pratisthita.
All right, let's go to the first one.
It will be Sulekha Mataji because Priyanka Mataji said she can't read.
And then after Sulekha Mataji, Shruti Priya Mataji can read because she joined right now.
Okay, should I start with the purport, Mataji?
Yes.
The test of a yogi, devotee, or self-realized soul is that he is able to control the senses according to his plan. Most people, however, are servants of the senses and are thus directed by the dictation of the senses. That is the answer to the question as to how the yogi is situated. The senses are compared to venomous serpents. They want to act very loosely and without restriction. The yogi or the devotee must be very strong to control the serpent like a snake charmer. He never allows them to act independently. There are many injunctions in the revealed scriptures. Some of them are do's and do nots, and some of them are do's. Unless one is able to follow the do's and the do nots, restricting oneself from sense enjoyment, it is not possible to be firmly fixed in Krishna consciousness. The best example set herein is the tortoise. The tortoise can at any moment wind up its senses and exhibit them again at any time for particular purposes. Similarly, senses of the Krishna conscious persons are used only for some particular purposes in the service of the Lord, and are withdrawn otherwise. Arjuna is being taught here to use his senses for the service of the Lord instead of for his own satisfaction. Keeping the senses always in the service of the Lord is the example set by the analogy of the tortoise who keeps the senses within. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. Okay, good. Reflection for the next 25 minutes.
Here, this one is like most people are servants of the senses.
Right.
Hare Krishna Mataji. This is very nice verse actually. In this, Krishna is telling Arjuna, like we should try to control and restrain our senses from the sense objects so that we won't get attached to those objects. Otherwise, if the attachment comes, and then the desire will come, and then desire will lead to other consequences like anger and greed will develop. So as a devotee, as a Krishna conscious person, we should always try to engage our senses in the service of the Lord, rather than just by citing example. Also, he's giving very nice example, like tortoise example. When tortoise he's in danger, it withdraws its limbs and head into the shell. So likewise, a devotee or a Krishna conscious person, he or she should also try to withdraw his or her senses when seeing various sense objects, so that the indulgence will not be there, and we can focus our senses into the service of the Lord.
Right, right. Very good. So here, Krishna has given, so Krishna is giving example, Krishna is teaching Arjuna, right? And he gives the example of the tortoise, the kurma. And of course, he's talking about the senses. So one of the things we have to keep in mind, and let's look first at our senses, right? So what are the two types of senses we have?
The knowledge acquiring senses and working senses, Mataji.
And working senses, right? Okay. So let's look at so knowledge acquiring senses will acquire some knowledge, present it to the mind, intelligence, and the soul. And then from the soul, the direction will come, and then the working senses will start operating on it. This is how they work together, okay? Looping in the soul. So let's see, what are your knowledge acquiring senses? What are your knowledge acquiring sense organs? Let me put it that way. Sometimes I use the term senses and sense organs synonymously. So what
Mataji,
organs acquire senses?
eyes, ears, nose, or sense of smell.
How many are there?
And then taste. They're
Taste
five.
and touch.
Touch.
Taste and touch.
Okay. So where are the eyes located?
On the face.
Just
Right.
in
Touch
front.
your eyes. Okay. Where is your nose located?
On the face.
Just below
And where
the.
where is the tongue? Close by. Don't touch your tongue. All right. Where are the ears?
On the
Where is the skin?
face.
Everything is on the face, Mataji.
Yeah, and the skin, right? Skin is all over, but it's all the face as well. So you see that majority of your knowledge acquiring successes are here in this particular area. So Krishna has very wisely chosen the example of the tortoise. That what it does is that as soon as it sees the danger, it goes inside. Right? It'll go inside and then it curls up into a ball, and it'll bring in the limbs also. So all the knowledge acquiring senses and the working senses also for it are all put underneath a particular cover. So this is a very, very important thing for us to keep in mind, and that's why Krishna is bringing in this fantastic example. Now there's another animal. Let me see. There's another animal that kind of tries to do the same thing when there is danger. And let's see if I can share the screen with you. So yeah, what is this animal doing?
Ostrich, Mataji.
Mm-hmm. What is the ostrich doing?
It's putting its head in the
In the
sand.
In the sand.
sand.
Do you know why it does that? When it does that?
I want to see.
When he's in desert and there is like a sandstorm.
Whenever the ostrich sees some danger approaching, right? Whenever it says there's a danger that is approaching, then the ostrich will just bury its head in the sand. That's what it does. So if it sees, but it is such a foolish thing, right? It gets eaten. It gets eaten in the process. Like a lion is coming at me, okay, let me bury the head in the sand. And that's why they tell you, like, don't be like an ostrich, don't bury your head in the sand. But for the Kurma, the Lord has given him, Lord has provided him that kind of a shelter, that kind of a body, that he is able to, withdraw his senses inside whenever whenever there sees some kind of a danger over there, right? So now, as a, sorry,
It's
Basha?
in Dashavataras, one avatara is there.
Avatar is Kurma, yeah. So, but it's not that reason that Krishna is giving the example of Kurma. Hey, I was a Kurma. Let me give you the example of Kurma. So, so here, he's giving the example of tortoise, and as Ashna Mataji was pointing out, that it has got an example and a teaching for us as well. That just as it is able to withdraw all its senses, we should also withdraw our senses. So then the question comes is that why should I be withdrawing my senses at all? Why should I bother to withdraw my senses? What's the harm? If I don't withdraw my senses, why should I?
It will deviate our spiritual, I don't know how to explain.
But I have
the senses.
You
but
will
I have
be entangled, Mataji, in so many ways that you cannot come back if you fall down, because it's not like one senses. There are so many senses, and like one to another, another to one. So it's like an octopus.
Yeah, they are like octopus. Yes, very entangling, right? So just think of it this way: that when you are attracted by something and you are not supposed to be attracted to it, right? It's deviant. It's not conducive to devotional service. But your mind will like to go there, and then senses will like to go here and there, everywhere, right? So, but then we have willpower, right? I have willpower, so I bring them back, right? So mind goes there, I bring it back. Eyes go there, I close my eyes, like that. Go ahead, Vaishana Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, like you see, Ajamil just went to the forest and you see, he went for the devotional service to get the wood from there for the yajna, and he saw Shudra having intimacy with the prostitute. and his attention was diverted.
Yeah.
So that is why it is very important to have your senses, control over your senses. And willpower, as you said, is very important.
Right. And so you can just think of, you can just think of it, you can think of willpower in two ways. You can think of willpower as a reservoir. It's like cash that you have. And when you're using your willpower to control, then the willpower is getting used. You can think of it, that's one way of thinking of it, right? So that's why I'll withdraw my senses, my willpower gets used in fighting against it, right? So it gets consumed. And the second thing is that you can, well, somebody might also say, but when doesn't my willpower become strong after I control this, right? So let me look at something and then I'll control myself. But Krishna is saying here, it's very, very dangerous. Do not do that.
No, not yes, Mother. Mother, I read somebody had given that article, which I actually foolishly I went through that article. Mahatma Gandhi used to allow the women to sleep naked next to him, but he never used to touch them. So I was really contemplating on this, and I was shocked to know about this, that he said that it is basically because I have control over my senses. This is what was his explanation. So I'm really amazed why this should come in public, this kind of a thing. But Mataji, I don't know what should I call it, but he had control over.
No, this is absolutely wrong. This is absolutely wrong. It is absolutely wrong and should not be encouraged at all at any level, because this is exactly what Krishna is saying. Don't become too puffed up and think, and what if, do we even think of the consequences of our action? That we are thinking I have control, and what if we lose control? After all, Vishwamitra lost control. After all, we're reading about the modes of material nature. When we think that it's the modes of material nature, they act. They act, right? If you put a boy and a girl together, they know. You don't have to teach them anything. It is the mode of material nature that acts. So it's the worst possible thing that you can do.
And Mataji, sometimes people just make comment or write articles. We don't even know if it is verified,
Yeah. I'm just talking about the concept. Yeah, I'm just talking about the concept.
Yeah.
Somebody says that I'm controlled, so I can do this. No. And that is what.
Yeah. But even that is also control, right? What kind of article we allow to, we are, and like as Mataji said, that she read it by mistake, right? And then the thought starts. So I think the filter for us should come before we drink the water, rather than after drinking the water and then we are trying to filter it.
Let the kidneys filter.
Yeah. No, that is right.
But
Mataji, but I thought it is because it is Mahatma Gandhi, it must be a good article. But when I went through, it was a shocking thing.
I think unless Mahatma Gandhi comes and says by himself, I won't believe that this is true.
Yeah. But what I'm just saying is that as a concept, it is wrong. And this is what I'm trying to emphasize over here, that willpower can get expanded, right? Gets confused, that's consumed. And also we have to understand that if you keep on saying it doesn't matter, I can go to the internet, I can look at ladies there, right? Or men for that matter, and I can continue to do that. But then one day you will succumb. And that's why they're saying don't do it. And that's why in Krishna consciousness here, we have got so many don'ts. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And ultimately, they will lead the called regulative principles of freedom. They will ultimately, for practicing it, you will reach that level of freedom. But still, we don't declare that, okay, now I have become free, so I can now do everything that I like. We still continue to maintain the restraint till the end, right? Like that. And so we have to keep this in mind. So we have to keep this in mind that here in our devotional service, Krishna is telling us that you should withdraw your senses away from the material, right? From the material world. But then when you go to the temple, then it should be the other way around. When you go to the temple, you should, take out all your senses. You use your eyes to see the Lord or the devotees, use your hands to serve the Lord, so on and so forth, right? So it's the opposite in the devotional service. But here, this verse is talking about your material. Okay, so here they're talking about animals. Now, animals are different from human beings, right? Animals are more into instinct, right? They do things by instinct, not through intelligence. Like, a tailor bird can weave a beautiful nest. It doesn't go to any classes. It doesn't go to anything. It just does by instinct. So animals have got more of the instinct in us, but we have got intelligence. And so what we have to do really in our devotional life is that whatever instincts that we have, now human beings also have instincts, but we have to sharpen our intellectual instinct and stay away from things that are going to deviate you from your devotional service there, right? So when we are looking at this verse where they are talking about the tortoise that withdraws its senses. Now, tortoise example is amazing. Like, there are videos on YouTube that you can go and watch where lions are trying to eat a tortoise and they cannot do it. It's withdrawn in the cell. After some, half an hour, 10 lions are going after it. They can't do anything. It's that powerful. It's been given such a nice covering, which is there. And so similarly for us also, we withdraw our senses and then we cover that by, the practices and devotional service. All the regulative principles, these become our shell. And we should learn how to withdraw inside whenever there is an onslaught of anything coming from outside in our area. So that is in the Skanda Purana. There's a very beautiful verse. I really like it. Prabhupada tells about that verse in one of his lectures, and I'm just going to bring it up over here on the screen, and I'll create a PDF for you later on, and hang it on nityasankirtan.com, and I'll just go through this verse, and you can all follow along as I'm talking to this. So it says, Kuranga matanga patanga bhringa mina hata pancha bhireva pancha eka pramadi sa katham nahanyate yasevate pancha bhireva pancha. So here, the word by word. So here what this verse is telling us is about how five different animals, right? And this talks about our five senses, talking about how five different animals get affected by focusing on one of their senses. And it's giving you five animals: Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Bhringa, Meena. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And what are these? Let's go through this. And whose turn is it to read? Can give us?
Shruti Priya Mataji.
Okay, Shruti Priya. Give us the synonyms and the translation. They are both combined in that verse. And welcome, dear devotees watching us on Facebook. Dandal pranams. Okay. Shruti Priya, unmute yourself, please.
Can you hear me, Mataji?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Kuranga, the deer, by the urges of ears. Matanga, the elephant, by the urges of genitals. Patanga, the moth, by the urges of the eyes. Bringa, the bee, by the urge of nose to smell wild flowers. Meena, the fish, driven by the urge of tongue. All meet their end in pursuit of their futile attempts to satisfy one sense. Just see, attachment to just one sense costs someone greatly. What about a person who has 5 powerful sense organs?
Right, so it's talking about these different kinds of these different animals that are there, and we'll just go through them one by one. So Kuranga, what was Kuranga? Does anybody remember what was Kuranga?
Deer.
Kuranga is a deer, right? And so they said that deer focuses on the ears, right? On the sense of hearing. So how is a deer caught? The people go there and play beautiful music, and the deers get mesmerized, They just start listening to the music, they're completely gone in the music. And that's when the hunter takes out the arrow and shoots down the deer. Otherwise, the deer are so fast at running away, right? But if you put
They
the
are the
play the music,
fastest actually.
right, there you go. So just get mesmerized. They stop wherever they are and start listening to the music, and boom, they are gone. So just one sense they used to focus, the ears, right? Then we have matanga. Matanga means an elephant. So what happens with the elephant is that how are elephants caught? So what the hunters do is they bring a female elephant and they put the female element right, next to a very big hole that they dig. And they cover the hole with, big branches and twigs and things like that. So the elephant doesn't see that there is a hole there, big hole. And then they have the she elephant over there, and the she elephant makes a noise. And the elephant gets attracted and starts walking towards the she elephant and falls inside this hole. And once it's inside the hole, it cannot get out. And then they throw the chain on him and then they get him out like that. So Kuranga, Matanga. And then Patanga. What is a Patanga?
Moth.
Moth, right? So what is a moth? The moth are those insects, you remember, whenever there is a big rain, especially in India, they all come and they start dancing around the light, right?
Yeah.
And they keep on dancing. And
Like
they
to the light.
so they get so much attracted to the light. So which sense organ is it?
Eyes.
Eyes.
Eyes, right? So that sense organ. And so they keep on dashing. They even, like, if there's a candle, they'll just get burned in the candle, right? So Kuranga Patanga, Matanga Patanga. So Matanga, elephant, was the sense of touch, right? Of the female, wanted that. Then Patanga, sense of eyes. And then Bhringa. Bhringa is, what was Bhringa?
Bee.
The bee.
Bee, right? So the bee, what the bee does is that the bee is so much attracted to the lotus flower, right? I guess attracted to the smell, wants to get the nectar, so the bee will go inside the lotus flower. And it is so attached to it that the whole day it'll just be inside that flower, smell it, and it'll just be there and, drinking it and lying there and enjoying the smell, then drinking some more. That's all it does, hovering around the lotus. Inside the lotus it is going, right? And then when the sun goes down, the lotus closes. And the bee is trapped inside, it suffocates, like that, and dies in the process. Then Meena, right? Meena is the fish, right? Meena is the fish. And for the fish, what happens is that fishes live in the water. And they have no business, other than to swim in the water and then eat. And Lord has provided them all kinds of food that is palatable for them, is already there inside the sea, and they should be eating that. But then when the fisherman comes and he throws a hook which has got a different kind of a thing, right? Then it gets attracted and then it gets caught by the hook and dies ultimately, right? So, Meena, what was the sense organ?
Tongue. Taste,
right? So Kuranga, Matanga, Patanga, Bhringa, Meena. So what this verse is saying is that all these just followed one sense.
One sense.
Just one sense, and they died. And you have 5 senses. What's going to happen to you? So you better learn how to, like, kurmunganiva. Like a kurma, you should know how to withdraw this, right? And it's so interesting that somebody was telling me the other day that when you drink alcohol, right? So how do they drink alcohol? They will put it in a glass and they'll swirl the glass and then they'll smell it like that, right? So sense of smell is engaged there, okay? And then they look at it. The eyes are getting engaged, right? And then they will taste it, right? So eyes is there, nose is there, then the tongue is there, and then they have it in their hands and they feel the nice cold thing, right? The thing. All right. Or they might even put it in the mouth and they let it swirl in the mouth a little bit, And that's when I'm telling you about the texture of the wine. They will say this is a fine wine, not a fine wine. They'll tell you all that, right? So all these senses are engaged. And the only sense which is not engaged is
mind.
is the mind. Of course, yeah, mind is engaged.
Yes.
Which one is
Yes.
not?
Ears, no?
Yes, ear is not engaged, and that is why they will do a ting and say cheers. When you hear that, the ear also gets engaged. So all the five senses are engaged like that, right? You go to a cinema hall, right? What do they do in the cinema? How can you engage your senses in all the five senses in the cinema hall, right? You sit in an air-conditioned cinema hall. The sense of touch is there, right? You watch it. You hear music. You eat popcorn, right? And every now and then they will put some perfume in the air, right? So these are five senses. You get, and that is why Prabhupada has got so many do not, do not, do not, do not, do not. So be like a deer and learn how to withdraw your senses inside.
And Mataji, where is this Kuranga Matanga? This
it is in the, I will give it to you. I'll give it to you. It is in the
I
Garuda.
want
Yeah.
that.
I said
Very
that at
good.
the beginning. Yeah, that I'll give you. Yeah. Very, very powerful.
Very, very
Mataji,
nice,
usually
Mataji.
we don't have any shell, like means immediately we can withdraw and just go inside. It's only the devotional service and just pray to Krishna so that we can control the senses.
Yes.
Mataji, I have a question for you.
Please, I have a minute to answer you, so better be quick.
So, like some people, they work in the profession is to engage and design for senses. Like if you think of interior design or, graphic design or architecture, we are designing to, make it pretty and engaging. And so as a designer, I am always conflicted.
Yes.
Is it because you think, oh, this color will go good with this, and this will go, this light will go, this, and then this, furnishings and furniture. It's like an endless list.
It is yes, it is. And then how can we Krishnaize that action, right? That activity, how can I convert that into a Krishna conscious activity? Just give a portion of the money you earn as an internal designer, interior designer, you give it to Krishna, right? And also remember, practice that you will get from doing interior design, and the practice that you'll get from designing all these things, one day you might end up designing for a temple, right? How about designing for a devotee, right? And how about convincing them to have an altar, have a prayer room? It's just up to us to ask the question. If you don't ask the question, we don't get the answer. Sometimes we just hesitate. And who knows, they were not thinking about it. And the moment you start saying, like, how about having a little meditation room? You can start with a harmless thing, like a meditation room. And they might not have thought about that. And then they will be like, wow. And then that might become the most expensive room in the house because they have to make it soundproof and all that.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah.
Thank you, Mataji.
You're welcome. Okay, dear devotees, I'll have to take your leave today, and we will meet again on
No.
Monday.
That we won't say yes, Mataji.
We love you, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Mataji.
Be like a tortoise and withdraw your senses inside.
Mataji, I need that Kuranga Matanga, Mataji.
You have to pay your fees, Mataji.
Kuranga Matanga.
Okay, thank you so much, all of you who have joined us here on Facebook today. We had quite a good turnout. Varshana Keshvi Devi Dasi Mataji is here, and so is Dilip Bhai Patel Prabhu and his lovely wife Hemlata Mataji. We have Vijay Lakshmi Nair Mataji. We have Divyangi Devi Dasi. We have Vidya Badhu Devi Dasi. V is trending today. we have Lalata Prasad Prabhu is watching us as well. Please accept my humble obeisances, Facebook devotees and Zoom devotees.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Panga, 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 panga.
Namo.